Welcome everyone to the February 9th, 2026 regular meeting of Ingersoll Town Council. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. and we'll get right into it, and I'll call on Councillor Hughes for the adoption of the agenda, please.
Thank you, sir. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Helleroo, that the agenda for the February 9th, 2026 meeting to the town of Ingersoll Council be adopted with the following amendments. Report OP-003-26, Road Needs Study, to be heard directly following the presentation from Stantec, and Report C-006-26 be considered following the correspondence and resolution items.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing that, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And Councillor Helleroo, the consent agenda, please.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, before I do that, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
Yeah.
Seeing none, now Councillor Helleroo, consent agenda.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Helleroo, seconded by Councillor Van Quitten-Bossens, that the item contained in the February 9, 2026 consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that'll take us down to Councillor Van Quitten-Bossens for the January 12th minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the minutes from the January 12th, 2026 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that'll take us into delegations and presentations. And we'll begin off with a presentation from Stantec on our roads needs study. I'd like to come up to the lectern and welcome.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for having me, everyone. My name is Dean Pettit. I'm a pavement engineer at Stantec Consulting Limited out of our Waterloo office. So I'm the pavement engineering team lead with our infrastructure management pavement engineering group. I'm here to present the results of the Town of Ingersoll Roads Needs Study, Parking Lot Assessment, and Intersection Improvement Study. Feel free to jump in at any time if you have any questions or anything. So at Stantec, we can start off with a quick safety moment. So distracted driving. Distracted driving endangers all road users, including drivers, passengers, pedestrians, and cyclists. It happens when a driver's attention is divided between the primary task of driving and other distractions. Even a brief glance away from the road can significantly increase the chance of a crash. When drivers are distracted, their ability to focus and react quickly is reduced. This means they may not notice important hazards in time or might not see them at all, making it hard to avoid dangerous situations. Here are some ways to prevent distractions while driving. Put your phone out of reach. Plan and prepare your trip before driving. Keep your eyes on the road and wear your seatbelts. If you're drowsy, pull off to the road. Avoid eating while driving. As a passenger, assist with navigation, handle phone calls with the driver, participate in non-distracting conversations. It's also nice not to have the kids in the car, but quick agenda. So we'll go over the pavement assessment methodology, overall network condition, budget analysis, and the intersection study. That's just a quick drawing. The intersection study was Culloden Road and Clark Road there. So we collected the entire paved network with our RT3000 collection vehicle. This is one of the units we operate here at Stantec. It has a 360 camera on top, similar to the Google camera you see driving around every now and then. Off the back, we have a downward video. So that actually takes video of the surface of the pavement and maps out all the various cracks you see and various distress in the pavement surface itself. On the wheel, we have a distance measuring instrument, so tire turns, moves the DMI, so it kind of gives you a length as you're going, and it relates to all the data collected. We also supplement that with a GPS system, just to make sure everything's in place and we're collecting the right section, the right data, in the right location. Off the front, we have a Class 1 profiler, so that it's essentially a laser bar, and it measures the up and down, so how rough your road is. You can get your International Roughness Index from that, IRI, rutting, crossfall, that sort of stuff. So the rating was in accordance with the standard ASTM method, which gives us a pavement condition index, so that is pretty industry standard methodology. Parking lot collection was a little bit different. Think about trying to go through a parking lot with all the vehicles there. It's a little bit more difficult to use a automated system on a vehicle. So we collected that manually. Essentially a worker with an iPad goes out with a measuring wheel and actually measures all the physical distress. Just to make sure, we take a bunch of pictures after the fact to make sure what we've recorded actually makes sense and corresponds to the pictures taken. So you can't take roughness with this method, and it is also rated according to the ASTM method with the pavement condition index as a result. So your PCI, pavement condition index, so there's various ranges from 0 to 100, with 0 to 10 being failed, and 10 to 25 being serious. So these would be almost impassable roads, something you'd have to slow down even just to navigate. You generally don't want your road pavements in those conditions. 25 to 55, very poor and poor. So pavements in deteriorated condition, maybe starting to approach the end of their design life. And then up above 55 to 70, fair condition. So these would be a lot of the roads you'd typically see around, usually fair condition, a little bit of transverse cracking, a little bit of bumping and cracking, but nothing too major. And then 70 to 85 satisfactory, 85 to 100 good. So good condition would be almost new pavements, very little distress to see. Satisfactory, just slightly more distress, maybe a little bit more. The overall pavement network, so pavement type distribution, we had 78% Marshall mixed asphalt, 17% super pave, which equals 95%. So super pave asphalt, Marshall mix, pretty much just different types of asphalt. You couldn't tell driving down the road which is which. It's just a different way of designing the mixes. So the big thing from this, 5% gravel network, and those are some of the gravel roads in the rural network out generally the west side of town here. Network classification breakdown, as with most towns, the majority of the roads are local roads, with arterial and collector being in there as well. A few laneways were also collected, and some commercial, industrial, local, and collector. So pavement condition index, so the good news is pavement's in really good condition here in town. I think it was 78.1%, or PCI, sorry, it's not a percentage, PCI, with almost 45% being in good condition. So these are pretty good, very good overall condition for a pavement network. You've been used to seeing them in more of the 60 range, 60 to 70, but 78.1 does put you well up there in terms of overall condition of the pavement network. And also very little in the failed to serious. Just, what is that, 0.6 kilometers, lane kilometers in the serious, and none in the failed. So nothing really, really bad. So budget analysis, so this is kind of where we get into it, our specialty here at Stantec. So you may think you go out, you find the worst pavements around, and that's what you should target and fix. And that's what the public always thinks, so it's a little difficult to try and convince, but it's actually best use of money to try and keep your good pavements in good condition. It's a lot cheaper to spend money on that maintenance and resurfacing and keep those PCIs of a 70 to 80, bring them back up. This is a little difficult to explain to the public though. You need to kind of educate them because, you know, someone says, well, why is this road getting paved and it's already in decent condition? My road's terrible. But as an overall condition, overall network, it's best to try and pump the money to try and keep the good roads in good condition. It's just so expensive to reconstruct. So that's the modern pavement management philosophy. So the budgets we ran, we used our Road Matrix Pavement Management System. So that's a software developed by Stantec. Utilizes costs and benefits to provide the best treatments at the best times. Curve just kind of shows where standard deterioration curve of a pavement, the intervention would bring that PCI back up to a certain level, and essentially your net benefit would be the area under the curve. So if you got big area with low cost, that would be the optimal solutions. So sometimes something as simple as crack sealing could potentially hold your pavements for say 1 to 2 years If you just picture it just slightly shifting it over, that whole area under the curve would be your benefit, and it's relatively cheap. So that's why those maintenance activities sometimes come out on top for best way use of money. So we ran several budget analysis. So we did a do nothing, so no money, don't touch your roads. Maintain your PCI at 78.1, so the existing PCI, $300,000 per year, $400,000 a year, and $300,000 per year with a 5% increase yearly. So one thing to note out of this is it just takes into account the resurfacing and maintenance budgeting. This isn't for, say, capital projects. If you're replacing, say, sewers or whatnot on one road, obviously that would come with some paving. So the do nothing does take you over 10 years from a 78.1 to a 53.6. If you were to maintain the existing at 78.1, it require 34.2 million over a 10-year funding period, so about 3.4 per year. 300,000 per year will take you from a 78.1 to 56.6. 400,000, 78.1 to 57.4, and 300,000 with a 5% increase, 78.1 to 57. So it's also quite difficult to try and keep a network that is in good condition at 78.1 and keep it at a good condition. You just naturally see that deterioration over time. So it would create substantial funding to try and maintain that 78.1. Next, we had our parking lot survey. So parking lot condition, we went through, mainly assessed all the various parking lots. We went through, calculated our PCIs. We provided short and long-term recommendations for each parking lot. So short-term, immediately, or within the next few years. Long-term, if you wait and push it out, what would be the recommendation? So essentially, we had 9 lots in good condition, 7 in fair and poor, 3 in very poor, 2 in serious, 1 in failed. So yeah, not quite as good results as the overall network, but still some parking lots in pretty good condition. Intersection study. So this was the intersection that we took a look at, Culloden and Clark. So yeah, they asked us to look at this because it's got that skew at the intersection. So we pulled information from the OPP. They had the data collected. I think it was MTO had the data collected. Total intersection collisions over time. So looked like 2017, 22 were the big years for collisions at that intersection. So we went through and took a look at various options for how to make some improvements, make the intersection a little safer. So option 1 was the do nothing option. Then we had a stop control with left turn lanes, signalized intersections, signalized with left turn lanes, and also a roundabout option. So we went through, took a look at the level of service, so how much people are having to wait at these intersections with each of the various options, assigned various values for those, and come up with an overall recommendation. So the overall recommendation was to install a traffic signal with or without left turn lanes. It would be perfectly fine installing it without left turn lanes for now. And then maybe in the future, if volumes increase, you could potentially look at adding those left turn lanes. The final signal configuration will be determined based on existing intersection constraints, including curbs, sidewalks, and available road right away. And yes, the town has already approved 2026 capital budget, $500,000 for signalization of the intersection. And the town intends to proceed with a signalized solution that leverages existing geometry and infrastructure. So Earth Corporation has been contracted to undertake signal installation, line painting, and associated utility works this year, 2026. And that's all I have for you today. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. Questions for the presentation? Seeing none, I just want to thank you. It's a very thorough report. Obviously, having the specialized equipment is very handy, and having that knowledge. So certainly, we're very proud of the asset management program that we have here, and I think that plays out. But I know we're going to have further presentation on the report right afterwards, so if there's no further questions, I will thank you, and we'll move on.
All right, thanks for your time, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, just make sure. Let's get a quick motion from Deputy Mayor Wilson to receive that, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the presentation from Stantec regarding the road needs study, parking lot assessment, and intersection improvement study as information.
Much discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, that'll take us to OP 003-25. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Graves, please.
Sure. As council is aware, we're continually analyzing our assets, including our roads, and determining their condition, adjusting our asset management plans accordingly. We want to make sure we have stable tax rates, and this is the best way to do that. I want to applaud Stantec and the entire engineering team for continuing to ensure we have the right mix of asset maintenance and replacement planned. With that, I'll turn it over to Matt to talk about his report.
Great, thank you. So as a follow-up to the presentation that Stantec just gave us, staff have reviewed the road needs study and tried to implement it with the existing budgets that we've been given. So as it was shown in the report, we are exceeding the asset management levels of service. We target 71 PCI to have a good range of good assets and then a good range of poor assets. So we're consistently investing kind of at a boring pace rather than an exciting, great big project and then nothing for a bit. So what we're looking to do, we analyzed having our existing $300,000 annual budget into the road maintenance, how that looks with the roads that need maintenance from the asset management plan. So if we look over the next 10-year cycle, we end up with, strictly looking at the maintenance, having a $1.8 million surplus from strictly road maintenance perspective. That being parking lots and laneways have been ignored from the asset management plan. So those existing funds can be repurposed over the same 10-year cycle into the parking lots and laneways, and then we can have a consistent and stable asset renewal cycle for the roads, parking lots, laneways, all meeting the 71 PCI target and maintaining those existing $300,000 annual spending levels. That, again, as Dean had mentioned, is partnered with our reconstruction program that will bring in new roads, new high-level surface paving that would balance out the highs and the lows from the PCIs that we'll have. So it's a good news story. We have the correct budget number over the next 10-year period that can be reallocated to make sure that we're meeting our asset management levels of service. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? No, I think that's, it is a good news report. So with that, I will call upon Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to the clerk, point of clarification, is this report 003-25 or 26?
That would be 2-6. Sorry for
Six.
that.
No problem. Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report OP-003-26 as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? You know, one of the things that the town of Ingersoll has done very well is asset management. We kind of are early adopters of that, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that. But as you get into it, you get more data, and certainly we got tons of great data, not only from council tonight, but for our engineering department, GIS, all that great stuff. So, you know, not having parking lots in there before, now it's a subset. Now we just know that more larger group of assets are included in there to be able to plan. And Irina and her team can make sure the finances are there through the recommendations to the budget cycle. So we can maintain that steady increase, that steady tax rate, and make sure that we have, you know, keep our assets in good shape, which is what our main jobs is. So happy to hear that we are able to do that without, you know, maintaining those new group of assets. We've always had them, but didn't know, you know, where they were at. So it's exciting that way. You know, I don't think you have to take a drive very far to realize that we do have a good level of service on our roads, and that's a very good thing. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I always like the data coming in, and it seems like, I don't know what one of those vehicles costs, but it's probably not a hobby vehicle. So, any further comment? None? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, with that, we will go back up to the top of special staff reports. And the first one is application for draft plan subdivision and zone change, SB 25-04-6, and ZN 6-25-09 supplementary report. And I will turn that right over to our planner, Heather Sinclair.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council held a public meeting on January 12th to consider an application for draft plan of subdivision and zone change for town-owned lands which are located on the south side of Clark Road, east of Harris Street, for future development of a multi-use recreation center, a new public school, and future residential development, as well as the retention of a block of land containing existing environmental features. Planning staff have now reviewed these applications, which are detailed in the staff report and were previously presented to council, and are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the policy direction of the provincial planning statement with respect to development in serviced settlement areas and the achievement of complete communities. Staff are satisfied that the proposed draft plan will facilitate future development that will provide for an appropriate range and mix of land uses to meet the policy criteria in the PPS. It's proposed that blocks 1 through 4 on the draft plan, which is shown on plate 3 of the staff report, will be created to facilitate future residential development, while block 5 is intended for the future development of an elementary public school. These blocks are designated as medium-density residential in the official plan, which was implemented through the town's secondary planning exercise, which was completed in 2024. And staff are satisfied that the proposal conforms with this policy direction for blocks 1 through 4, which would be subject to future planning applications before any development would occur. Staff are recommending that these blocks 1 through 4, be rezoned from the General Agricultural Zone A2 in the Township of Southwest Oxford zoning bylaw to a development zone in the town zoning bylaw to restrict future development until such time as detailed development plans have been received, which would be in conformance with the medium-density residential designation in the official plan. The medium-density designation also applies to Block 5, which is located on the west side of the property, which is intended for the development of a future public school. This land use designation does permit minor institutional uses, such as public schools, as they are considered to be an important and supportive use of a residential environment. Planning staff are of the opinion that a future public school at this location will support and enhance the future residential development of the area by providing a use that will serve the local neighborhood and will add value to the immediate area and the community as a whole. In keeping with the policy direction of the official plan for the development of sensitive land uses, which would include future residential development and the public schools, a noise study was completed to review both transportation noises from Highway 401 and Highway 19 to the west, as well as stationary noise sources from Belcamp Manufacturing and the future stationary sources from the proposed multi-use recreation facility. This study concluded that the noise levels from Belcamp Manufacturing will comply with the applicable noise level limits for residential uses. However, the study did note that the transportation noises from the 401, as well as the potential heating and cooling equipment from the proposed multi-use rec facility, may impact these future sensitive uses, and they provided a number of recommendations that have been captured as conditions in the approval for draft plan, which would include central air conditioning and warning clauses for future residential development and design recommendations for rooftop HVAC equipment. Block 6, which is located on the south side of the subject lands, is designated as open space in the official plan, which permits both passive and active recreational uses. It's proposed that Block 6 will be developed for the multi-use recreational facility, which will conform with the policy direction of both the open space designation for recreational uses and the official plan policies respecting leisure resources, as the proposed multi-use rec center will function as a community park, which will provide recreation opportunities for the town, and surrounding areas through the development of the proposed arena, the gymnasium, and the outdoor sports field, which will provide opportunity for a healthy physical environment and enhance quality of life for local residents, which is in keeping with the policy designations. Planning staff are recommending that Block 6 be rezoned to a special recreational zone to add a multi-use rec center and community center to the list of permitted uses in the rec zone. Finally, with respect to Block 7, this portion of the subject property is designated as environmental protection due to the presence of existing environmental features associated with the Halls Creek Valley lands. It's proposed that this block will be rezoned to open space, which would prohibit future development, and staff are satisfied that this restrictive zoning is in keeping with the policy direction of the official plan, as the proposed open space zoning would prohibit future development for the preservation and long-term protection of the existing ecological function and natural features of the site. And it will ensure that all future development associated with the remainder of the subdivision would be located outside of the flood and erosion hazard areas associated with Halls Creek. The town's consultant did prepare an environmental impact study, which was peer-reviewed, and all recommendations and requirements from these studies will be addressed as a condition of final approval to the satisfaction of the town, the county, and the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. An archaeological assessment was also undertaken for the subject lands, which did result in some archaeological finds on Block 7 that met the provincial standards for Stage 4 mitigation. This would require either long-term protection and avoidance or archaeological excavation. But given that these features are located wholly on Block 7 of the proposed draft plan, which would be retained under the town's ownership and restricted from any future development through that open space zoning, staff are satisfied that the recommendations outlined in the archaeological assessment can be appropriately implemented. No comments of concern were received as part of any of our agency circulation. The Ministry of Transportation has requested that as a condition of approval, they be permitted to review any stormwater and grading plans, as well as lighting plans, and they did request a security fence along their property between the 401. So overall, planning staff are of the opinion that the proposal is consistent with the direction of the PPS and the county's official plan, and we're supportive of the requested draft plan and rezoning, and we're recommending that council advise county council you also support the requested draft plan, and that you approve the requested zoning in principle, and we'll bring back a bylaw for future consideration once draft plan is in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the report? Councillor Hallery, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Heather, what's the difference between the measurement between what we already have in our bylaws versus this that we see as a reduction here?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Heller, if you could clarify which measurement you're referring to specifically?
Our regular parking versus the permit reduction for the parking rate here. I assume it's the size that they want reduced?
Are you perhaps looking at the second report on the agenda this evening, which is a reduction to parking for an industrial subdivision?
Oh,
In
I'm
this
the wrong
instance,
place.
there has been no requested reduction to parking.
Okay, my bad, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions of the report? Seeing none, with that, I will call on Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Hellerue, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll approve in principle the zone change application, file number ZN 6-25-09, submitted by Dillon Consulting Limited on behalf of the Town of Ingersoll for the lands described as part lots 17 and 18, concession 2, West Oxford, in the Town of Ingersoll, to rezone the lands proposed for draft plan of subdivision, file number SB 25-04-6, from General Agricultural Zone A2 as follows. Block 1 to 4, Development Zone D. Block 5, Minor Institutional Zone, IN-1. Block 6, Special Recreation Zone, REC-SP. And Block 7, Open Space Zone OS to Development of the Public School. and municipally owned multi-use recreational facility, and for,
Sorry,
and
Councilor Hughes, you may have just missed the
did
line.
I miss a line? I think I did too. I'll pick it up from agricultural zone as follows: Block 1 to 4, development zones; Block 5, minor institutional zone, IN; Block 6, special recreation zone, Rec SP; and Block 7, open space zone, OS, to facilitate the proposed draft plan of subdivision consisting of future residential development, the development of a public school, and a municipally owned multi-use recreation facility, and a block for existing environmental features. And that council of the town of Ingersoll advise county council that the town supports the application for draft plan of subdivision file number SB 25-04-6, submitted by Dillon Consulting Limited on behalf of the town of Ingersoll for the lands described as part lots 1718, concession to West Oxford in the town of Ingersoll, subject to the conditions of draft approval included as Amendment 1 to report CP 2026-26.
Thank you very much. Discussion. Councilor Hughes.
Thank you. Glad to see this is moving forward. We're getting closer every day with the with this whole campus area and development, and ultimately having the MERC start. Staff has been working wonderfully, doing the work that that needs to be done, so that makes us as councillors look good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Again, the planning department coming in with the reports on this stuff has been exemplary, and greatly appreciated, and once again making us look good. So you can't ask for any more.
Thank you very much. Councilor Hallery, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add to that. I'm very, very happy to see the progress being made. Now we kind of visualize what it's going to look like. It's exciting. And I like that they pushed, the design to the rec is closer to the highway kind of thing, and what I see, and it's going to create kind of an ambience on the road as well, I hope, to get people really coming to Ingersoll. So it's really nice to see, and well done to everything that has gone into bringing it this far.
Excellent. Further discussion? Yeah, I will echo those comments. I think council and the public needs to remind how far we've come on this. When it came to, a boundary adjustment, the secondary plan, the offer for sale from Growbrook Farms to make this happen, and then all the collaborations that's taken part since then, whether it be through the school board for the land, long-term care, and Oxford County. It takes a lot of people that are touching this to make this happen, and there's still some work to go, but it's not going to be long before you see things happen on this. But again, as the councillors have said, this doesn't happen overnight by the snap of a finger. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, and I want to thank everybody. I know there's been a lot of iterations to try to make the best use of that land possible, and I truly feel it is. Some of us were down at Aroma, and certainly we had our portfolio of our federal application, and it was good to be able to hand that to not only the federal minister, but also the provincial counterparts, and even former Minister Steve Clark, which we had met with early in our term, and one of his recommendations was to own land and control it. So he was, made my day by showing we had followed through with and what collaboration looks like. So we encourage him to collaborate more with us. Now the province has put in some money for stormwater management, and certainly through those meetings we were able to get a meeting with the Ontario lead for the federal program, and I can gladly say that we are still eligible even though the program is changing. So we are still in the running for that, which was very good. There was good questions there. But I think everybody is impressed at how much Ingersoll is doing, and I think this is a true example of when we control land, we can make sure that the type of development we need in our community happens. But again, it's all goes down to all the work that has to go into it, and making sure that it fits the needs from every level. So it is exciting times, and yeah, it'll go further through the process. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, next, our next report is in the Committee of the Whole, so I'll call on Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens to go into the Committee of the Whole, please. Oh, no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're not going to the Committee of the Whole. We are going to CP 2026-47 application, supplementary report, and I'll turn that over to our planner, Heather Sinclair.
Thank you. So the next application is an application for zone change, which has been requested to reduce the parking requirement for future industrial development on the subject lands, which are located on the northwest corner of Wallace Line and Robinson Road. Specifically, the applicant has requested a reduction from the parking requirements from 1 space per 90 square meters of gross floor area plus 5 spaces for industrial uses to a standard 1 space per 90 square meters for industrial uses, and a reduction from the office parking rate from 1 space per 20 square meters of gross floor area to 1 space per 50 square meters of gross floor area as it applies to office spaces that are accessory to industrial uses. The proposed amendment would apply only to blocks 1, 4, 2, 7, and 9 through 12 on the industrial subdivision, which is highlighted in red on plate 1 of the staff report, while the zoning of the remainder of the property would remain unchanged. So planning staff have reviewed the proposal under the policy direction of the provincial planning statement and the industrial policy designation in the official plan, as well as other municipal comparators in the area with respect to parking rates, and we're generally satisfied that the requested amendment can be considered appropriate in this instance. With respect to the PPS, this policy document does not specifically provide direction on parking supply and design, but it does direct that municipalities are to ensure that employment areas are planned for and preserved for current and future employment uses, and that the necessary infrastructure is provided to support the current and projected needs. Staff are of the opinion that the requested reduction to the parking ratio will not negatively impact the use of land for future employment uses, and approval of the applicant's request will continue to provide for the necessary infrastructure to support the intended industrial use. So as such, staff are of the opinion that the proposal does maintain the intent of the PPS to provide for suitable employment areas to encourage intensification and compact development. The subject lands are designated as industrial in the official plan, which is intended to facilitate the full range of industrial land uses. The official plan provides that adequate on-site parking is to be provided to accommodate both employees and patrons of the site. However, again, it does not expressly provide a minimum parking rate for industrial uses, which are rather established through the town's zoning bylaws. So in support of their request, the applicants did provide a parking study, which provided a review of other municipal industrial parking requirements in the area, as well as a review of the Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking Generation Manual. The applicant's proposed parking rate reflects the existing parking ratio in the zoning bylaw for industrial land uses based on the gross floor area, with a request to exclude the additional 5 standard spaces. The intent of this additional 5 standard spaces in the bylaw, on top of the quantitative number, is based on the gross floor area, is to establish a minimum base number of parking spaces on industrial lands where the gross floor area may be limited or small in scale, while the bulk of the parking requirements are reflective of the building size and the scale. So in this instance, the applicant has created a number of large industrial blocks that will facilitate larger scale industrial uses. And planning staff are generally satisfied that the establishment of the minimum parking rate of 1 space per 90 square meters or 968 square feet of industrial space will ensure that sufficient parking is made available on site to accommodate future employees and patrons of the industrial use, and that the requested reduction does represent the minimum parking spaces to be provided, with the option for the developer to add additional spaces in the future if they do anticipate a user that may require more space. Staff have reviewed the information provided by the applicant with respect to parking requirements for nearby municipalities, and do note that the requested reduction for industrial use is in line or in excess with municipal parking standards for a number of local municipalities. I did provide some of those in the staff report, but I would also note that the town of Elmer has a requirement of 1 space per 90 square meters, as does Norfolk County, while the town of Strathroy has a requirement of 1 space per 100 square meters, as does Wilmot Township and Brant County, which would be similar comparators to the town of Ingersoll. So a further reduction to the office parking calculation has also been requested to permit a reduction from 1 space per 20 square meters to 1 space per 50 square meters of gross floor area for accessory office uses. Offices are permitted as accessory uses in the industrial zone, with accessory being defined as uses that are subordinate to and exclusively devoted to a main use, building or structure located on the same lot. Given that accessory uses are required to be subordinate to a main industrial use, it's anticipated that they will be limited in size and not represent a significant parking demand. Further parking spaces dedicated to accessory office space would be in addition to the main industrial requirements on the property, which would result in a significant number of spaces dedicated to the primary use as well as the accessory use on site once combined. So given that office spaces can't be established as standalone or main uses, staff are satisfied that the reduction to these parking requirements can be supported in this instance. No comments of concern were received from any of the public agencies or neighboring property owners circulated, and overall planning staff are satisfied that the requested reduction strikes an appropriate balance between the need for sufficient on-site parking and the avoidance of an oversupply of parking that would result in the unnecessary loss of green space or developable land. And planning staff are of the opinion that the request can be supported from a planning perspective, and we have prepared a bylaw for your consideration. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Questions of the report? Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Heather, so I'm just looking at these comparators. Totally understand the situation, but with very similar to some of our commercial developments and parking requests is the fact that we don't have transit available and all of these 3 comparators that I'm looking at do have transit. Not sure if they actually run to the industrial sides of their municipalities, but was that taken into consideration when they did the study and they were looking at all other factors as well?
Through your worship, yes, we did discuss that with the applicant's engineering consultant, and they indicated that industry standards don't generally take busing into account when dealing with industrial development for parking ratios. So it's, from our understanding, that's not part of best practices when considering parking rates for industrial uses. However, that's why I did bring to council's attention tonight some other local comparators that would be more in line with Oxford and Ingersoll, who likely don't have access to transit, being Elmer and Norfolk County, Strathroy, Wilmot Township, and Brant. So they are other comparators that I used to review.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions, sorry? Seeing none, Councillor Halleru, please.
Thank you. I'm happy to say I'm satisfied with everything you've said. Moved by myself, Councillor Halleru, seconded by Councillor Vacates. Now, the Council of the Town of Ingersoll approved the zone change application submitted by 2862083 Ontario Inc., MHBC Planning, for the lands described as Block 1, 2, 4, 7, and 9 to 12 Plan 41M398 to rezone the subject lands from the Special General Industrial Zone MG-9 to an amended Special General Industrial Zone MG-SP to permit a reduction of the parking rate for industrial and accessory office uses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Discussion. Councillor Halleru, please.
I just want to say, I mean, this has been a very rigorous process, and I want to say to this company, welcome to Ingersoll. I know it's been very stressful trying to adapt to what our requirements are. As again stated by Councilor Hughes, being a small community with no transportation, we kind of have to be very sensitive to these matters. But knowing that this is more industrial and not necessarily affecting a residential style traffic, I'm quite happy to see that every stone, was turned to make sure that they got what they wanted. So welcome to Ingersoll.
Further discussion? No, much along the same lines. Unfortunately, we don't receive taxes from parking spaces, and people don't have jobs from a parking spot usually. And so the wise use of that land is the best density, just like housing that we can get on there. And certainly we have our things there, but they did an excellent job. It looks like of on both sides of from county planning and also the proponent to be able to take a look at this in a realistic way and come up with something that does work to make sure that that is the case. It's certainly never going to be perfect. It's hard to judge the future about. It all depends on what type of use is going in there. Some things have a lot of people, some businesses don't, right? So I'm sure that if they have the opportunity for something that needs a lot of parking that's within there, they'll be back. And we'll be able to try to accommodate that. So, but certainly gives some greater opportunity there. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now we will go into Committee of Adjustment. And I'll call on Deputy Mayor Councillor Van Kooten Boston's seconded by Deputy. I'll get it.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll go into Committee of Adjustment meeting to consider the following minor variance application: A-04-25, 423 Thames Street South, Gardens of Ingersoll, Inc.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We are now in Committee of Adjustment, and I will turn it over to Planner Heather Sinclair for the report, please.
Thank you. The committee heard this application for minor variance at a public meeting in January, which is essentially to obtain relief from the loading space provisions of Table 5.11.1 to reduce the required number of loading spaces from 3 to 2, to facilitate an addition to an existing retirement residence on the south side of the building. The proposed addition would facilitate the creation of 31 new units, which would be in addition to the existing 67 units, for a total of 98 long-term care retirement dwelling units on the property. Staff are currently reviewing an amendment to the existing site plan to facilitate the proposed addition, and the applicant has indicated that the 2 existing loading spaces, which are located on the north side of the property, would be sufficient to accommodate the proposed addition. The area of the subject lands proposed for this addition are designated as community facility in the official plan and are subject to a site-specific policy which provides that the maximum height of a building shall not exceed 4 stories and that the total number of units shall not exceed 120. The community facility designation is intended for the development of large-scale institutional uses, as well as cultural and recreational uses, which serve the residents throughout the town. Permitted uses in the community facility designation include hospitals and major recreation facilities, as well as large-scale nursing homes and rest homes with 20 or more beds and homes for the aged, among a number of other uses. So given that the applicants are proposing an addition of 33 new units to an existing retirement residence, for seniors, staff are satisfied that the proposal does maintain the intent of the official plan with respect to the community facility designation. The property is zoned as Special Major Institutional Zone IN2-5, which is a site-specific zoning that was implemented in 2019 to facilitate the development of the existing long-term care residence. Permitted uses in the major institutional zone are reflective of the community facility designation for large-scale institutional uses. Table 5.11.1 of the zoning bylaw provides that institutional uses with a gross floor area between 6,501 and 12,000 square meters require a minimum of 3 loading spaces. Based on the site plan provided by the applicant, the proposed gross floor area would be 7,913 square meters, which would require 3 loading spaces. The intent of the loading space provision is to ensure that sufficient space is available on site to receive deliveries for commercial, industrial, and institutional uses, to ensure that delivery vehicles aren't disruptive to the overall function of the site or the adjacent road allowance. The number of loading spaces are reflective of the size of the use in an effort to establish the appropriate number of spaces consistent with the needs of the use. So in this instance, the institutional use on the subject lands does consist of a largely residential use that does provide a moderate level of care and meal service to the residents. The applicant has indicated that the existing number, or that they do receive a limited number of deliveries each week, and that the 2 loading spaces are in excess of what they require. So staff are of the opinion that the addition of the 33 new dwelling units on the property would not result in a significant increase for deliveries vehicles to necessitate the requirement of a 3rd loading space, and that approval of the applicant's request to maintain the existing 2 spaces would be sufficient to receive the deliveries on site without resulting in any negative impacts to the existing parking arrangement or the road allowance. So we're satisfied that the application meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. Further, it's noted that the existing loading spaces, which are again located on the north side of the property, are accessed by a separate driveway entrance for garbage trucks and delivery vehicles, so that they have a dedicated access to these loading spaces. And this site has been designed to accommodate the existing development as well as the future phases, the future phase in mind that's occurring now. So the establishment of a 3rd loading space would either require the applicant to create a new loading space at the south end of the property, which is not conducive to delivery vehicles having to enter through the public parking area and traverse the entire property to reach the south end of the addition, or it would require the applicant to remove and reestablish the existing loading facilities on the north end, which may not be potentially feasible given the grading of the subject lands in that location. So overall, staff are of the opinion that the existing 2 loading spaces are sufficient to serve the needs of the existing and proposed use, and that the requested reduction for the loading spaces meets the 4 tests of a minor variance and can be supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of the members have any questions of the report? Seeing none, now I'll call on Member Wilson, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Member Bowman, that the Town of Ingersoll Committee of Adjustment approve application file number A04-25 submitted by Gardens of Ingersoll Inc. Limited for lands described as part lots 20 to 21, concession 1 West Oxford, in the Town of Ingersoll, being municipally known as 423 Thames Street South, Ingersoll, as it relates to 1, relief from Table 5.11.1, loading space requirements, to permit a reduction to the required number of loading spaces from 3 to 2 to facilitate an addition to an existing long-term care facility, retirement residence, as the proposed variance is considered to be 1, a minor variance from the provisions of the Town of Ingersoll zoning bylaw 04-4160, 2, desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, 3, in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the Town of Ingersoll zoning bylaw number 04-4160, and 4, in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the county official plan.
Thank you very much. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And just before we move on, I will get the members present to sign the sheet here, so that is done. Pass it that way, please. Excellent. Now I'll turn it to Member Bowman to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment meeting, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Member Bowman, seconded by Member Hughes, that this Committee of Adjustment meeting now be adjourned and that the February 9th, 2026 regular meeting of council come back into order.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, that takes us down to C-007-26, parking permit policy. And I'll turn that over to our clerk's department, please.
Thank you. It's a bit of a tongue twister. So this report responds to Council's direction from the January 12th meeting regarding permit parking and brings forward a finalized permit parking policy along with recommended locations and quantities for permit spaces in the downtown core. So following Council's direction, staff work with Public Works and our Director of Engineering and Infrastructure, Matt Sweetland, to review each proposed lot from a winter control and operational perspective. As a result, staff are recommending some minor refinements to the number initially proposed by council for the placement of permit spaces to ensure snow clearing and storage can continue effectively in the downtown core. The report goes over a lot, but in summary, staff are recommending that the Oxford Street South lot be designated as a permit-only lot with 10 overnight spaces in the southernmost row, and that a total of 20 permit parking spaces be established in the Market Lane lot as outlined in the report and as supported by the visual map that's attached to it for reference. The report also includes a new permit parking policy. As we previously discussed, we've offered permit parking for many years, but demand has consistently exceeded supply, part of why we're here having this discussion. But we've also lacked a thorough policy to provide a clear, transparent framework for how permits are allocated, managed, renewed, and enforced. So our proposal is attached to this report for policy to manage the permits. And if council approves the policy and recommended permit locations tonight, staff will then return with the necessary amendments to the consolidated traffic and parking bylaw and the fees and charges bylaw at the next regular meeting of council, and will proceed with communications, applications, and signage installation in coordination with Public Works. That's my high-level summary of the report, but I am happy to answer any questions from council at this time.
Any questions from council on the report this time? Seeing none, I'm going to turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor as I'd like to move the motion.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions of the report, feel free to take over the motion.
Okay. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-007-26 as information, and that Council approve parking permit policy attached to this report as amended, and further that Council approve the establishment of permit parking spaces as follows. This Oxford Street South Municipal Parking Lot be designated as a permit-only lot with the exception of the accessible parking space with no less than 7 spaces in the northernmost row permitted for overnight parking. 2, 6 permit parking spaces for daytime and overnight use in the southernmost row of the Market Lane lot adjacent to King Street. 3, 14 daytime and overnight permit spaces in the eastern row of the Market Lane lot adjacent to Oxford Street, and further that staff be directed to proceed with the actions necessary to implement the report and establishment the permit parking spaces.
As the mover, do you wish to?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify with the clerk on the 14.
It should be
Western. So I'd like to amend that to Western because there was a
That was my initial error.
Western. No, that's clicked in afterwards. So yes, I would like to speak to that motion. It's basically, it is based off the same thing that staff had recommended. The change that I would like to see is in the Oxford Street South lot. It was originally recommended for 10 spaces in the southernmost part, and I understand that's based off trying to accommodate the most amount of parking spots for overnight. But in speaking to residents and users in that area, they much preferred having the parking at the northern spots because that's where the buildings are. And in talking to staff, there'd be less spaces that are available there. It says no less than 7 spaces because there's a possibility for 8, but staff have not done the calculations on the accessible spot to do that. And yeah, so from a perspective of usability, of either walking across the parking lot in the winter or being close to that area, that was the feedback that I received. So that would be the change, and so I would ask for council's support on that. I think that I appreciate staff all the time they went in and looking at the last from the last report and seeing how they accommodate as much as possible, because it is snow is never a nice thing, as we know this year, right? And so it's a real thing that we do have to deal with, and so it is one of those things. I think that this, like, as we get through a year, it's a year thing. There's going to be some learning curves there. As we know, parking's never perfect. Councillor Bowman has a lot of history there, but I think that the effort is extremely welcome by the businesses and residents of downtown core, and to hopefully see more people in the downtown core, and more revenue and less tickets and less hassle for people to have to move and more organization. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Councillor Van Kooten-Bosson says the seconder.
Thank you. I supported this because of the fact that he's gone out and talked to people. And you know what? I think that we need to have the residents' opinions on this. And I really do welcome more of the BIA and more of the residents who are living downtown as well to come and talk to us. I think that the mayor's right, that as we go through this year, we're going to find out what else comes up, right? So parking is not perfect. In 20 years, I don't know that we've gotten it right. So maybe this year we might, never know. Maybe there'll be nobody that comes back and says anything, but I think that this is really a step in the right direction, and I want to thank staff for all the time that they've put into this. It's not an easy thing, and I really do thank you for all of your patience and your persistence to try to get something. So thank you.
Councillor Bowen.
Thank you. And yes, Mr. Mayor, I have to support your walking around and actually talking to the people, as Councillor Van Kooten-Bosson has said. I said it last month, the P word just is something we don't want to hear all the time because there's no real great solution. But I think as we try to encourage both retail and residential in our downtown cores to help them build and thrive, we have to do something. And I'm really glad that we've sort of taken the bull by the horns and going to try something. I'm glad to see that we did move the 14 spaces from the easterly to the westerly, because that does free up the parking spaces right at the back of that retail along that stretch. And you know what? Having been dealing with this for 20 some odd years, we just try. We just try. Nothing's perfect again, but we try, and we try to hit on the solution that gets the least amount of negative feedback. And I think this is a great compromise, and it's something that we need to try in order to promote growth downtown. So yeah, I support it. Let's give it a shot.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That's carried.
Okay. Next, moving on to number 12, ED 004-26, tax incremental grants, and I'll turn that over to Director of Economic Development, Kirsty.
So, Council, this is the first phase of our community improvement plan review, and a decision on where we're going with tax incremental grants will help frame the rest of the review. Currently, the community improvement plan does not apply to the 2021 boundary adjustment lands, so this has created inconsistency across the town for prospective industrial investors. This initiative directly supports the strategic plan and multiple pillars within the strategic plan. The tax incremental grants, we've heard from investors that have recently chosen Ingersoll, as well as Invest Ontario, the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation, Trade, and Minister Fideli himself, that if we don't offer these types of incentives, we're not part of the conversation. So it's very important that we investigate these and continue to try to offer them. The part of the boundary adjustment was an agreement with Southwest Oxford Township, and we didn't contemplate tax incremental grants when we made that agreement. So if approved, tonight what we're seeking is the authorization for staff and the mayor to negotiate an agreement with SWOX to ensure that we create a level playing field for all industrial development across the town. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the report? Just to clarify, it's just that have to get, and that would come back for council as part of the CIP program for council's approval.
Basically, this is kind of the first step. So if we're going to go down this road, if we're going to continue to offer tax incremental grants, this is going to help frame the community improvement plan and the review process. If we're not able to offer these, then that'll frame it a different way. So hopefully we can reach an agreement with SWACs.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Halleroux, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report ED-004-26 as information, and that Council authorize the Mayor and staff to negotiate an agreement with the Township of Southwest Oxford to offer tax incremental grants on the boundary adjustment lands.
Thank you. Discussion. Yeah, no, again, we were at Roma as a group, and we had a meeting with the Minister Fedeli, and we know how important these lands are out there to our diversification and our community. So I think that anything that we can do to try to incentivize and make sure that development happens in a speedy time is very important. I've broached the subject with Mayor Southwest Oxford, and of course we're good neighbors. We have a conversation about anything, so I'm not worried about that. I think that we can have that discussion, and I think hopefully we'll come to agreement there. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. That takes us down to OP 003-26, Moffett Avenue Development, and I'll turn that over to Mr. Graves.
Thank you. Some on council will recall that this restrictive covenant was put in place to ensure that some developments in that area didn't proceed until we had an outlet out Walker Road. Staff spent a great deal of time meticulously developing this and making sure that the restrictive covenant covered that area. And it worked. And now that that road and that outlet is there, it's almost completed. We are able to remove it to allow the Moffett Avenue area to develop. So it's great to look back and say we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish by putting that restrictive covenant in place, but now it's time to remove that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Matt to give further details.
Yes, thank you. Not much further to add than that. That street has been constructed. That said, it has not been assumed yet, but the town is holding sufficient security for some minor outstanding issues on that road network. So it is still appropriate at this time to consider removing that restrictive covenant. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the report? Seeing none, Councillor Halleroux, please.
Thank you. Per you, moved by myself, Councillor Halleroux, seconded by Councillor Vacates, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report OP-004-26 as information, and that the covenant restricting development on the lands identified by PIN 001441033, being PT LT 18 Con 1, West Oxford, parts 1 to 4, Plan 41R 8286 South, S&E Plan 41 M252, known as Moffett Avenue Development, be released.
Excellent. Discussion. Councillor Van Kootenbosens.
Hallelujah. Honestly, I am so glad we did this so many years ago, but I'm so thankful that we can do this and take this restriction off and say welcome back to developing that area. I know we had a lot of angry people in there that had only one entrance and exit, and I'm so glad that we are getting that second area. Matt, I'm going to ask the question. I know that it's imminent, but do we have an idea of how long before we assume the rest of Walker Road?
We have a few ideas in mind to have it assumed by using the existing securities to put top coat asphalt on, or to hold off on putting top coat asphalt, leave it at base while some additional construction traffic will be seen on that road. So we are working with the developer to get that assumed and just making sure that the money is in place that we can have those options.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Further discussion? Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to echo Councillor Van Kootenbossen's remarks. I know when you said, is there any questions of staff? The one question I wanted to say to staff, I know it's in the report, but is this really true after all these years? And yes, it is nice that we can finally move towards assuming this road and advance the future development.
Further discussion? Yeah, let's echo that, and we thank staff for coming up with something that was usable and implementable as a stop to make sure that, I know at the time that residents there were not happy that we're allowing more development to happen, but that was the only way to enter an agreement, and it did do what was needed, and it forced that second exit to happen, which I'm not sure if it would have without that. So again, they carried through with that, so I certainly have no problem with removing this. There is those two exits there and development that goes along with it. So yeah, it's a good news where you've creative people working together to make sure that problem is solved when it's not really in your control to be able to build a road. So, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. So that takes us down to T-005-26, application under section 357, and I'll turn that over to Irene, please. Treasury.
Sorry, I was waiting for Michael to present my report, but I'm not that lucky. Okay, so this report is presented in addition to the report we usually provide to council at the end of the year. And Mandy Clark, our deputy treasurer, has prepared the report, and she will be more than happy to present it.
Good evening. This report is before council regarding an application received under section 357. As outlined in the report, following MPAC's review of the application, the assessment resulted in a higher tax classification. As a result, the property owner received an additional tax bill rather than a refund, reduction, or cancellation in taxes. Staff have been in communication with both the property owner's representative and MPAC. Under normal circumstances, this matter would have been resolved through MPAC in a timely manner. However, MPAC is currently undergoing a system change and is unable to provide responses to tax applications at this time. MPAC have advised staff that this file will remain a priority once their system is fully operational. Due to this situation, staff are unable to process a refund until MPAC completes and provides the reassessment. Understandably, the property owner has requested a council decision on the application for appeal purposes. The details have been outlined in the report, but I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Councillor Hallery, please.
I see the breakdown between what council, what they owe the town and what they owe the board. And so is this decision, if council even made it, only based on what we can do as a town and the portion of the town?
If council did not approve the application as it has been processed, we would make the adjustment for the taxes to go back as they were prior to any adjustments being made. So there still would not be a refund to the owner in that circumstance until such time that MPAC provides the reassessment, but it would go back to what the owner was originally taxed prior to any adjustments being made.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Van Kootenbossen's, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report T-005-26 as information, and that council approves the application received under Section 357 for property rule number 3218-030-065-33400-0000, notwithstanding that no reduction, refund, or cancellation of taxes resulted.
Thank you very much. Discussion. Certainly, it not happens every day, but certainly, that's for the applicant and impact to work out if they don't agree with the decision. So no problem supporting that. Anything else? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. That takes us to correspondence and resolution. And, yeah, that one. Sorry. T-006-26, the council remuneration expense report. Turn that over to Mandy, please.
So this report is before council to provide you with the remuneration and expenses for the year ending December 31st, 2025. Total amount for the year 2025 was $261,145. Schedule A is attached with the details, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the report? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report T-006-26 as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I think this just shows municipal transparency right there. Everything's out there for everybody to see. This is what your municipal representatives are reimbursed for the position that they are elected to or appointed to in the case of the OPP Detachment Board. So certainly, I don't know how you get more transparent than that, and it's available for anybody to see. The same one will be happening at the county on Wednesday as well. So. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. By the end of the meeting, I'm going to get organized. So we'll now go to correspondence and resolution, and Councillor Bowman from the Solicitor General, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the correspondence from the Honourable Michael S. Kersner, Solicitor General, regarding the strong mayor powers be received as information.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. And Councillor Hughes from the Oxford County Library regarding truck or treat day event.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Hallerow, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll received the correspondence from the Oxford County Library regarding their summer reading club launch and truck launch and trunk and oh boy. I'll get there, trust me.
Might need the library.
There we go, that's right. Reading comprehension 101. Summer reading club launch and trunk or treat events as information. And that council allow Oxford County Library to use the Town Hall Library Building parking lot for the summer reading club launch party on June the 26th and Halloween truck or treat event on October 31st.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
My apologies to the library for butchering their names of the events.
Councillor Hallerow, Kiwanis Club of Ingersoll.
Thank you, through you. Moved by myself, Councillor Hallerow, seconded by Councillor Vecklin and Bosons, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from Kiwanis Club of Ingersoll as information, and that Council approve the Kiwanis Club of Ingersoll's request to waive the fees for services and equipment for the Kiwanis Ingersoll Harvest Market being held at the Ingersoll Cheese Museum, Centennial Park. As always, thank you.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And that takes us down to City of Stratford proposed consolidation of conservation authorities. Councillor Van Kootenbos, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from the City of Stratford regarding conservation authorities as information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And Deputy Mayor Wilson from Saugeen Shores, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from the Town of Saugeen Shores regarding conservation authorities as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I will say on that one, again, I want to thank staff because I asked them to pull any of these coming out, and I think Council, as we know, there's still a lot of talk about consolidation and no idea what that means. Really, there has been no further consultation and or answers. So I appreciate everybody being able to put some spotlight on that and how important it is to our watershed and a lot of others. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. That takes us down to return to special staff reports C-006-26, OP Detachment Board appointment, and I'll turn that over to our clerk's department, please.
Thank you, Mayor Petrie. Julie Ellis, Clayton now, sorry, who is our Deputy Clerk and the staff liaison for the OPP Detachment Board, authored this report, and she will present it for Council.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. This report is before you tonight to seek the appointment of a community representative to fill the current vacancy on the Ingersoll OPP Detachment Board. As Council is aware, this vacancy arose following the passing of the board's chair, Scott Davis, in November. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Scott's dedicated service to the community and the significant contribution he made during his time on the board. Scott's leadership and commitment made a lasting impact, and he is sincerely missed. In accordance with the Community Safety and Policing Act, when a community representative vacancy occurs, the municipality is responsible for appointing a replacement to serve the remainder of the term, which in this case runs until October of 2026. Applications for the position were advertised on the town's website and through social media, and the application period closed on February 2nd. During that time, staff received 7 applications, which were circulated to Council in advance of tonight's meeting for review. Council is asked this evening to appoint 1 community representative from the pool of applicants, with consideration given to the legislative requirements under the Act, as well as the desired skills and competencies outlined in the posting. As this discussion will involve personal information related to individual applicants, staff are recommending that Council moves into closed session to deliberate, with the appointment to be made in open session following the closed meeting. I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And there's any questions of the report for clarification, seeing none, I will go to Councillor Bowman to go into closed session, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the council do go now into closed session, meeting at 7:22 p.m. pursuant to Section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, to discuss the following matters. 1. Minutes of a closed session, October 6, 2025. 2. 239, subsection 2, paragraph B of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, OPP detachment applications, consideration and deliberation.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We'll reconvene in the J.C. Herbert Room. To members of the public, I don't know how long we'll be, but we will return to open session to finish the meeting once council is finished with this portion of it. order. Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-006-26 as information, and that Council appoint Sue Reinches to the Ingersoll OPP Detachment Board as its citizen representative, and that this appointment be deemed conditional on Council's consideration of the results of the applicant's police record check prepared within the past 12 months in accordance with Section 33(2) of the Community Safety and Policing Act, and further that upon satisfactory review of the applicant's police record check, that the appointments of the Ingersoll's OPP Detachment Board community representative and council members be formalized via bylaw.
Too much discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Deputy Mayor Wilson, bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that bylaws 26-5443 to 26-5447 be approved, subject to Section 284.11(4) of the Municipal Act.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I've already signed the paperwork, so there's no veto. Councillor Bowman to adjourn the meeting, please.
Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll adjourn the February 9th, 2026 regular meeting of council at, it looks like 7:44 p.m.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.